which are 1, listening more to your children. 2 is making agreements with your children. They're walking with their toddler and they're pointing out everything. And sometimes we talk too much to our kids. How was school? You just get the typical, good. The more I laid there and didn't say anything, they would start talking. Grades were not important to Ron and myself. Do you want to get better grades? Are you working toward getting better grades? What are your goals? It's not you versus us. We're in this together. We're on your side. Hi, I'm Dr. Mary with Inside Out Living, and today I want to talk about something that's pretty near and dear to my heart, which is parenting. Specifically, parenting that teenage child. As you may know, we have 3 daughters who are a little bit older than that, but that was a pretty challenging time, and I get asked a lot of questions about parenting specifically in that age group. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about 4 things that you can do that just make that part of parenting maybe a little less daunting, let's just say. And we're going to talk about the four things, which are 1, listening more to your children. 2 is making agreements with your children. 3, how you navigate challenges with school. And the 4th is how you show up for your children in extracurricular activities. So I want to dive right into the first one. With your children, listen more, talk less. Now, this starts with toddlers. You've seen those parents with little toddlers and they're doing a lot of talking, meaning they're walking with their toddler and they're pointing out everything, and that's a dog and that's a flower and look at that and da-da-da-da. Sometimes we talk too much to our kids and we don't let them have their own experience. So that starts in toddlerhood, but even as teenagers, and when I talk about teenagers, I am talking about like that 12, 13 to 17, 18. You may have experienced this when you pick up your children from school, you get them in the car, and you say, how was school? And maybe they don't answer at all, or you just get the typical, good. So you start asking questions. What did you learn? What did you do today? And you're met with maybe not such enthusiastic answers, and it could create some kind of tension, especially if you don't pick up on their cues and you keep asking, well, what did you do? And how did you see your friends? And what did you have for lunch? And one thing that we did with our children was we listened more. We focused on listening, which what that looked like sometimes was picking them up from school, them getting in the car and saying hello, of course, and driving in silence. And it took a little bit of time, but eventually what I found with our girls was with that silence, without me taking up the space of talking and shooting questions at them, a lot of times the conversation just evolved. And one of them would start talking and say things like, hey, today in school, you know what happened? And so, I don't know, it's just started the communication. It went on even when we would get home. Sometimes they'd all disappear in their rooms, they would do their homework. Again, they were still kind of in that mode of, again, at that, maybe it's just that age too, where they're just not real communicative. And maybe it was a quiet ride home. So again, instead of hounding them and following them and asking more questions, what I did sometimes, I would just go into each one of their rooms as they were doing homework, and I would just lay on their bed. Sometimes I would lay there for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and if there was a 0 conversation, I would get up and go to the next room. And what I found after a while was the more I laid there and didn't say anything, they would start talking. And it usually involved, whether it's things that happen at school, sometimes it was challenges. And even when there were challenges, one of the things that we did was a lot of role playing. I don't know why, it just kind of evolved that way. For instance, if one of the girls said they were having an issue with one of their friends and they weren't really sure what to do, instead of me telling them what I think I would do, I'd say, well, let's role play that. Let's see what comes out of that. So just listen more and talk less. Let them have their own experience, but give them that space to open up and talk. The second thing, again, kind of on that same thread of you wanting to communicate and not getting the communication back. That's not the time, and I have coached people on this, that is not the time in a car or at the house when your kids are not in the talkative mood to sit down and ask them why they're not in the talkative mood. Or to start hounding them of like, was it something I did? Was it something I said? How come you're not talking to me? So what we did with our children was we waited until the spirits were high which was usually after they got some food. It was pretty much after dinner. Or on a Saturday, or just some random time where the moods were good. Like I said, the spirits were high. And we made some agreements. And it was typically me saying to them, I need some feedback from you. For instance, one is, when I pick you up from school, I notice you guys don't really want to talk. So what would be the best scenario there? Do you want me to just put the radio on and we're in silence? Or, when's a good time for me to check in with you about school? And we'd come up with an agreement. So it wasn't just me versus them, so to speak. It was more, how is this going to work? I'd like to know how school's going. I just feel like I'm not doing the greatest job of asking the right questions at the right time. So it's okay to get their feedback on that. And I'll talk about this a little bit later, but remember, parenting isn't us versus them. It's a family unit, and we're all in it together. The third one, which is a big one for people too, is how do you navigate school challenges? In our family, grades were not important to Ron and myself. We didn't do how I was raised, which we didn't sit down when the report cards came, where the child sit there like biting their nails, waiting for the parents to yell or say something. We told our kids that their school and their studies and their grades were theirs. We gave them, the feedback we did give them though was things like, here's what grades do. Grades give you more opportunities later. For instance, one of our daughters wanted to go to UCLA. I think she knew that when she was 10 or 12 years old. So we said, okay, well, to get into UCLA, you'll need to have good grades. So we told her that when she was 12. She was a really strong student, so it wasn't an issue. But we said that we're not going to yell at you if you get poor grades. When they saw their report card, the first thing we said was, how do you feel about it? If they said, I feel pretty good, I worked really hard, I got for those C's. We're like, great, that's it. It makes me sad when I see the parents' expectations on the kids. And the one thing that I really don't like, and we tried to avoid this at all costs, was having our kids feel any shame. And around the grades, that could happen, which is just like we have this expectations that they're going to get straight A's and they don't, and then they feel bad. And you may disagree with this, and you may think, well, they need to be pushed. That's just a parenting style. We didn't push our kids, but we asked a lot of questions after, how do you feel about those grades? And just asked, like, what do you think your future is going to look like? And we weren't mad about it either. We were just like, listen, it is what it is. And do you want to try harder? Do you want to get better grades? Are you working toward getting better grades? What are your goals? It kind of goes with that, like, it's not you versus us. We're in this together. We're on your side. One of the things that Ron and I felt really strongly about, we'd go to these parent-teacher conferences, and we didn't like when the kids weren't invited. We'd be sitting there talking, and we finally said to the teachers, like, we feel like our child should be here. Like, almost like, why are you talking to us about this? Like, we're not the student. And so after the parent-teacher conference, and most of the time we'd hear how great our kids were, which we already knew that, and maybe they would tell us some challenges that they were having with our children, and we'd always end with, perfect. So can you have this conversation with our child? We think that's really important. And we'd also love it for it to come from you, since you're the one in this relationship with our child. And then we'll be happy to talk to them about it afterwards, but it just didn't feel right to go home and say to our kids, so your teacher feels this way about you. Again, it just made us feel like we were more of a team with the teacher. She's part of the relationship as well. The last one, and this one's pretty near and dear to my heart, the spectator. It's the extracurricular activities. And our kids played sports, but some kids are in art, theater, all kinds of extracurricular activities. And what we found was the best thing to do when you show up as a spectator for your child, the only thing that you should say is, I love watching you play. I love watching you paint. I love watching you sing. Because when you are the parent and you start coaching and giving your opinions, that is not great for the athlete or the performer or the artist. If you don't believe this, ask your child. Ask them after they have whatever performance that they're in. Ask them how they feel afterwards, and ask them, again, if this is a team situation, you're a family, ask them, what's the best kind of support I can give you afterwards? I guarantee they're not going to say to you, I'd like your opinion on how I played, or I love your opinion on the colors that I used in my portrait. My personal experience with this was playing volleyball, and I played in high school and then played in college. And my father, who loved me so much, and I love him, he showed up to my volleyball games, and I was the most valuable player on the team, so I was a pretty good athlete. He would show up to my games, and he would sit there, and later on when I'd get home, he would say things like, you know why you missed that serve? That one serve that you missed the whole game. Why you missed that was you didn't throw the ball high enough. And it was like, number one, I already knew that. But two was, I used to think, wow, that of all the good things that I did in the game, that's the one thing that you focused on. There was another time when I was playing soccer, and of all the people cheering, I could hear my father yelling, faster, faster, and I'm going as fast as I possibly can. I understand now why in sports, probably in other activities as well, why your children decide not to do it anymore. It's just not fun anymore. So we didn't learn this the easy way. We learned that the hard way, which means that we had gone through a lot of sports with our own children where we did get in the car and say things like, that girl was guarding you so close, and we just started, and it was our kids really that were like, hey, I don't want to hear that. I could have hustled more. It was like we were making excuses for them. So those are just 4 pretty simple things that you can do. A lot of them revolve around communication. And in the future, because parenting is probably one of the things I get asked the most about, we will be having more content about parenting toddlers, parenting adult children. That's a big one. And I just chose this age group, this 13-18, because it seems to be the most challenging time. And also, I love talking about it. So I'm going to wrap this up, and I want to thank you for following along on Inside Out Parenting, and we'll see you on the inside.